Chapter 12 bankruptcy filings have been on the rise as recent years have not been friendly to many ag producers. Low commodity prices coupled with increasing debt have made it difficult for some farmers to continue. Joining us now for today's Rural Money segment is Professor of Ag Law and Taxation at the Washburn University School of Law, Roger McEowen. Thanks so much for joining us, Roger. And let's start with the main requirements that must be satisfied for a bankruptcy court to confirm a Chapter 12 plan.
Well, good morning, Christina. And there are a handful of these. Of course, the plan has to conform to all of the bankruptcy provisions provided in the code, and you have to pay all your fees, and you have to make the proposal in good faith and not violate any law, and your unsecured creditors have to receive not less than the amount that they would receive if you were filing a Chapter 7 liquidation, which is probably zero. And then each secured creditor must either accept the plan or keep their lien that secures the claim, and then you have to be able to comply with the plan as the farm debtor, and that's a big issue.
Now, what's the timeline that we're looking at here?
Well, once a farmer proposes their reorganization plan under Chapter 12, the bankruptcy court has to hold a confirmation hearing and conclude it not later than 45 days after that plan has been filed.
Okay, now what happens if the bankruptcy court determines that the farm debtor won't be able to make the payments that the plan requires?
That's the big issue that farmers are facing right now that have filed Chapter 12, and Chapter 12 filings are up across the country. And if you can't meet the feasibility requirement, then you got some issues that are out there, and the big issues are what's going to happen to you. Well, the court could convert the case to a Chapter 7 liquidation, or the debtor could simply request the court to dismiss the case, or, and this is what happens most of the time, the farm debtor gets a chance to modify the plan, come back into the court with a modified plan proposing as to how you're going to be able to pay off your debts.
Okay, now Roger, you're really great about giving us examples. Can you give us one for the feasibility issue?
Yeah, there was a recent case that came up in the bankruptcy court in the Western District of Wisconsin, and it focuses on what the typical problems have been with respect to farmers not being able to make their planned payments and not putting together a feasible plan. They overestimate crop yield projections, or they underestimate labor costs, or they don't have an accurate picture of what their living expenses are going to be, and that's exactly what happened in that case. They were estimating that their gross income from crop sales would swell over the next 3 years and that their expenses would be less than any of the last 4 years, but they had no explanation that they could provide to the court as to how they arrived at those estimates, and the court was puzzled how they would come up with their income numbers given that crop insurance was no longer going to be a factor for them. So the court dismissed the case. They were not able to confirm that plan because of lack of feasibility, and that's a really important requirement that has to be satisfied.
Really appreciate you taking the time with us today. Roger McEowen with the Washburn University School of Law. We're going to be looking forward to more reports from you coming up in the future.